What's up, guys? Farzy Vasugan here with you. Good morning to all of you. It is the pregame live chat. Good morning, good afternoon. Some of you guys in the East Coast, already afternoon for you guys. But nonetheless, we are here. It is the pregame live chat. How are you guys? How's everyone feeling? Got the Chiefs and the Chargers today. The Chargers decimated with all kinds of injuries. And I love the conspiracy theories out there. Oh, here we go. It's rigged. Yeah, it is indeed rigged because historically speaking, the Chargers are just very historically always injured. I saw Chargers fans joke online, and yes, Chargers fans do exist. I saw the running joke that this looks like their depth chart. Seriously, I gotta show this. I'll wait for more people to come, and then I'll address the injuries and all that. But yeah, Joey Bosa's out. Junior Colson's out, the linebacker who's dealing with a hamstring injury. The expectation is that Joe Alt, the rookie offensive tackle for the Chargers, he's got a knee injury, did not practice at all this week. He's questionable, but is expected to not play. So their left tackle, Rashawn Slater, he might not play in this one either. And by the way, let me just double check who's left, who's right. Yeah, left tackle is Rashawn Slater. He's not expected to play in this game. He is listed as out. So it's really Joe Alt that's kind of the big question, but he's not really expected to play, realistically speaking. We'll get the official inactives 90 minutes before kickoff, but it is a really long list of injuries for the Chargers. Let me, since we got more people here now, let me go ahead and put that on the screen for you guys. Where's the screen share? There we go. Look at that. That's the Chargers injury report. This is from the Chiefs website, but it's the Chargers injury report. That is literally, I can barely put all of this on the screen. I mean, I want to put the player position and all the other important stuff on top available for you guys to see. Maybe I can expand that a little bit. There. Have to open my window a little bit so the entire thing can be shown. That is their injury report. This looks like almost looks like a depth chart I'm reading at first glance. That is how rough things have been for the LA Chargers. But again, I know conspiracy theories, the football gods helping the Chiefs. No, the Chargers have just historically been dealing with injuries for a very long time. They just have really terrible luck when it comes to that kind of thing. I don't know why, but that's just the way things have gone for the Chargers, historically speaking. All right, talk to me. How are you guys feeling? Got a score prediction? Give me your score predictions. Let me know how you guys are feeling. I know the big question mark going into this game is what are we going to see from Kareem Hunt? Everyone is eager to see how he's going to do in his first game back with the Chiefs in more than 2,100 days. Crazy enough, the last time Kareem Hunt played a game for the Chiefs, and I don't think this is being talked about enough, it was that crazy Rams football game where both teams scored in the 50s on Monday Night Football. Might be considered the best Monday Night Football game in NFL history. Fortunately, the Chiefs were on the losing side of that one. But I think that's like that. Yeah, that's just crazy. The fact that was the last time he ever played a game for the Chiefs, and a lot of time has passed, and now here he is back in Kansas City. And how much he's going to play, I have predicted. So here's how I'm kind of looking at Kareem Hunt. Last week was his training camp. Did not have a training camp. Did not have OTAs. No offseason workout with any team whatsoever. So last week, when he signed with the Chiefs, that was his training camp. And then watching from the sidelines or wherever he was, watching that Chiefs game against the Falcons Sunday night. This game, I think the Chiefs are going to treat it for him like a preseason game where he's going to go in there and get anywhere from 10 to 15 snaps and possibly 5 to 10 touches in this game. I do think they want to get him going in this game a little bit. If he gets the ball on his first 1, 2, 3, 4 carries, and does really well on all of them, then yeah, I can see the Chiefs maybe using him much more than maybe I would anticipate. Again, I think everyone has different expectations as to how much he could be used in today's game against the Chargers. But I think I think the Chiefs are going to gradually just kind of push him into the mix here, because I think that Monday Night Football game against the Saints, which is obviously 8 days from now. I think that is going to be Kareem Hunt's first true game back, where he's going to get a lot more involved with the team. Going to be playing significantly more snaps, get more touches, all of that stuff. I don't think he's going to get a lot of that in this game. It's just going to be kind of like a gradual get him back into the full type of thing. Ben says 34-17. Trey says 24-17. Robert says KC 34, Chargers 10. Layla 28-17. Okay, so a lot of you guys, yeah, I have an 11. I have the Chiefs winning by 11 also, but a little bit of a different score. I have it 24-13. That is what I'm going with here. I think, until the Chiefs can prove that they're better than how they look right now, which is the offense isn't. Yeah, I think the offense is getting way too much shit from people in general. I don't think it's that horrible. Do they need to improve on certain things? Yeah, absolutely. But Nick Wright, and call him biased, but you can't ever argue against facts. There are only 4 teams in the NFL that have scored 21 plus points in every single game. Guess what? The Chiefs are one of those 4 teams. So to be able to do that consistently, and again, let's understand something. You're going to get every team's best shot. We went over this a lot last week after the Chiefs-Falcons game. You're going to get every team's best shot at this point. This is something Tom Brady and the Patriots dealt with for a long time. Every single time you play the Patriots, that's the game you circled. For Kansas City, unfortunately, because Kansas City was not a threat at the time, that was, and I'm referring prior to the Andy Reid era, that was a game that you didn't want to circle. That was the game you kind of just wanted to erase because you were just afraid of the Patriots back then. And when Andy Reid got here, he really helped change the mindset. And I think that 2014 game really showed that, hey, this football team can compete with the best. Obviously, the team has changed a lot over time since Patrick Mahomes got here and all. But yeah, you realize, okay, this football team can be one of the best. And now here they are. They're exactly in that Patriots aura where everyone's afraid of them. And you know what? A lot of people are pushing back with the Falcons. The Falcons have been getting a lot of criticism on Monday and Tuesday and a little bit, coming into this week because the Falcons could have kicked 2 field goals. So, that, infamous drive that ended in that big pass interference missed call there. The Falcons could have kicked the field goal in that one. And then they get the ball back. They could have kicked another field goal. They win by 1 point. Look, and that is so easy to say, hindsight 2020. It's like, okay, yeah, I can sit here and say this team should have done A, B, C, and D because the game's over and I can easily pick it apart after the fact. It's almost like going through a mock draft, or not a mock draft, a draft from a few years ago, said, oh, well, this team should have drafted this person. This team, should have not drafted this guy. Yeah, well, it's easier to say now that enough time has passed. Everyone can be a judge after the fact. But here's the thing with the Chiefs is you don't expect the Chiefs to go 3-and-out like they did and trying to put teams away. Because when the Chiefs got the ball back, my expectation was Andy Reid is going to be very conservative with this and is going to try to play the clock here. And some of you guys commented and said, this is going to be a short-lived drive. And unfortunately, it was. Fortunately for the Chiefs, it didn't end up hurting them. Look, the Falcons had 2 opportunities to take the lead away from the Chiefs, and they didn't. So deal with it. I mean, you had multiple opportunities. And on that following drive, after that missed call and all of that, guess what? Trey McDuffie got hit with a terrible pass interference call where Ray McLeod just ran into him. That's all he did. Even Richard Sherman, who had Trey McDuffie on the podcast, was like, dude, you did nothing wrong. You just stood there and the guy ran into you and they just threw the flag. Call it a makeup flag, call it whatever you want. And listen, I remember hearing a sports radio host from Boston saying he hates makeup flags because the Patriots were involved in a lot of those. Because he wants it to be called correctly the first time. Well, sure, I think everybody that watches sports agrees with that notion. But at the end of the day, listen, referees are bad. Okay, they've got a difficult job. I agree. But they also miss a lot of very easy and obvious calls. And by the way, there's a very easy fix to this. But the NFL doesn't want to do it. And I've been saying this for a long time. So, cry about the officials and run with it. I don't care. At the end of the day, the Chiefs are finding a way to win football games, especially close football games. But again, to go back to the point, the Chiefs got hit with 3 defensive penalties on that final drive before the Chiefs got the ball back and had the QB kneel. And then on 4th and inches, what are you doing on 4th and inches? I mean, I figured the Falcons would run the ball, maybe a play action to throw off the Chiefs, but that is the play call you went with on 4th and inches. And you want to sit here and blame the refs and Taylor Swift and Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes have the league in their pocket. Okay. All right. Yeah. Have fun with it. We got to talk about the Kareem Hunt effect. Yeah, we already did, Dalton. I mean, maybe you came in late, but I think he's going to get a few touches and gradually get involved with the Chiefs offense here. Unless he goes off in his first couple of touches that he gets the ball in this game, then yeah, I can see the Chiefs using him a lot more in this game. So I'm excited to see what Kareem Hunt's going to look like. I know he's very eager to go back out there. And listen, I know we've gone over this so many times, and a lot of people don't want to hear the whole thing, but it is part of the story. The redemption for him. This guy missed out on a dynasty run. He was there in the very beginning before the championships came into play, but was there at the beginning of it, and he missed out on Super Bowl rings. Now he has a chance to make the most of his second chance and just be able to call himself a Super Bowl champion. Obviously, that's not going to happen this week. It's a long season still, but that's part of the story. And again, to go back to the whole, what happened incident, I know Chiefs fans don't want to hear it. And I'm saying this to kind of just prepare you guys, because I know I'm going to see it on social media. I'm telling you guys right now, Jim Nantz and Tony Romo, they're going to bring up what happened 6 years ago in that one night in Ohio. And then guess what? Next Monday night on a national stage, Troy Aikman and Joe Buck, they're also going to talk about it because they want to, more so Troy Aikman wants to give his opinion on that whole thing. I'm sure the Monday Night Football pregame crew will bring that up. So it's going to come up. I'm just giving you guys a heads up. But look, good or bad, you have to talk about the story. It'd be disingenuous if you didn't. So what's my score? 24-13. That is what I'm going. Steven says, anyone betting the over on Kelsey's number 46.5. So I placed a bet last night. On DraftKings. I don't remember what DraftKings placed it as. I'm sure it's changed this morning. Let me just see what because I did bet the over. I'm expecting, Travis, at some point he's got to get going. And I've always said, okay, for whatever reason, it doesn't want to automatically log in. That's great. At some point, like Travis Kelce has to get going. And I think the secret key is maybe just kind of let the defense help you out in that role. And what I mean by that is they might start paying attention to Rashee Rice because that guy's a top 5 wide receiver in the NFL right now. So if defenses start paying more attention to Rice, well, then that might help open up the door for Travis Kelce as well as Xavier Worthy. And whoa, my bet slip just dropped by a lot. So 47.5. What did you say, Steven? 46.5. Yeah, I said over. Boy, my cash out's pretty low. It is very, very low. Did I bet something that is not expected to happen? What's going on here? I said Chiefs 7-point spread. I said both teams will score a touchdown and a field goal. That's like one of the easiest things you can always bet on. I said I went with a lot of overs in this one. I said over for Xavier Worthy, 37.5. Over on Travis Kelce's 47.5. Over on Travis Kelce receptions. Okay, might be a little bit of a bold one there, but I'm going with it. Over on Rashee Rice's receptions of 7.5. And I went over on Mahomes 251. Okay, maybe that's why the bet's. Oh, and I also said Rashee Rice 2 touchdowns in this one. So, yeah. Have fun with that. Don't take my advice on these things. Hope Hunt rushes for over 200 yards and 2 touchdowns. What is the bets? You know what? Hold on. I'm going to do something right now. I don't know if I'm allowed to do this, but we're going to do it anyway. Where's Kareem Hunt? Kareem Hunt, 2 touchdowns is at plus 2,200. I'm going to put $1 on that. Actually, no, screw it. I'm a real one. Putting 5. 5 Buckaroos gets me 115. There. 2 touchdowns for Kareem Hunt. Why not? Why not? Did it live with you guys. 75 and a touchdown. Yeah, that'd certainly be a big improvement for I don't know if you're referring to Travis Kelce or Kareem Hunt, Raymond, but yeah, that would be a big step up for Travis Kelce, if that's who you're referring to. If that's Kareem Hunt's stat line there, yeah, that'd be. Oh, you are referring to Kareem Hunt. Got you. Okay, yeah, because you said 60 and a touchdown. DraftKings has it at 75 and a touchdown as one of the possible bets you can make. Interesting. Yeah, J.K. Dobbins to me is the big key in this one here because he's third in the NFL in rushing yards. That guy has the best yard per carry average of any running back right now. So you guys know what that means, obviously. Not as many carries and is very efficient and very productive on fewer carries compared to the rest of the league there. So meanwhile, the Chiefs, they've been very good at stopping running backs, averaging 3.3 yards per carry this year. Or holding running backs to 3.3 yards per carry. So if the Chiefs defense can continue doing that and find ways to slow down J.K. Dobbins, they can force second and long and third and long situations, which is not really good news for the Chargers because they're expected to have both offensive tackles out today. So they're going to have two backup offensive tackles. And you already know that Justin Herbert's not 100%. Now, if he's going to play, then, I think he's expected to do the things that'll be expected of him. But, at the end of the day, he's not 100%. I think, not to suggest that you want to intentionally hurt him, but I think Gunther Cunningham said something similar one time to his players. It's like, look, the guy on the other side, he's dealing with some things, and he's gonna play through it, which is not going to be easy. So play a little harder. Not that you would not play harder in general, but it's like, okay, this guy's got something working against him. You got to capitalize on it because if you don't do it, somebody else will. And by the way, this is a divisional game right now. You got to create some separation here because the Chargers, they look pretty good first couple of weeks, but if you lose this game to the Chargers, they do take first place going into their bye week. So you definitely want to be able to win this game and have that separation and have that nice little early lead on the Chargers. Because if you beat the Chargers, you go to 4-0. Chargers drop to 2-2. You do obviously play the Chargers later in the year, but in the meantime, you do have a 3-game lead on the Chargers, which is pretty big for a week 4 game. So that is definitely something that hopefully the Chiefs can take advantage of and utilize here. Chargers have not given up a lot of points this year. 33 points in 3 games. Do the average on that. Not a lot of points surrendered this year, but the Steelers were able to put up some points on them last week. So I think if you're the Chiefs, what you got to do is understand there's going to be, in my opinion, I think it's going to be a close game for 3 quarters. But if you can control time of possession, and if you've listened to me the last couple of weeks, you know how big of a deal I make of time of possession. If you can win that battle, then you'll be able to tire them out in the 4th quarter, and that'll set up the play action, and you can go out there and sling the ball a little bit and close this game out. The one big criticism of mine with the Chiefs this year in 3 games so far, they don't do a good job of closing games out. You guys know this just as well as anyone else. They should have put away the Ravens much sooner. Should not have come down to that whole situation with Isaiah Likely and his toe. But that's just the way things panned out, and the Chiefs were not able to close that out when they should have. Same thing last week against the Falcons. You were up by 5 with the ball in your hands, and you couldn't even pick up a first down, went 3 and out, and you gave the ball back to Atlanta, and your defense came through again. We got to give some props to this defense. It has not been very pretty at all for the Chiefs defense, but man, they're coming up with some really big stops in really tight games here. Against the Ravens, holding them out of the end zone before halftime and before the end of the game. Against the Bengals, the last time the Bengals had the football in that game, Shamari Connor got a sack on Joe Burrow. I know Shamari Connor had the touchdown there, which is a defensive touchdown. It's huge, but I would still argue that Shamari Connor's sack right there, that was more significant than the fumble because that was the last time you saw Joe Burrow in the Bengals offense, and you obviously held on to the football long enough to win the game with time expiring. And then against the Falcons, like I mentioned already a couple of times on this live stream, 2 opportunities for the Falcons to score, and they did not score in either one of those. Again, so easy to criticize after the fact and say they should have kicked 2 field goals, but you didn't expect to get the ball back after the Chiefs drive right there. So Bill Clinton, is this a real Bill Clinton commenting? Evidently, Bill Clinton's a Chiefs fan. So, oh, okay. Thanks, Bill. Tell Hill we all said hello. Yeah, this is just a weird thing with the Chiefs. I think, in the Patrick Mahomes era, and look, I was thinking about this the other day too. Because I'm hearing, I'm listening to Sports Talk Radio yesterday, obviously on a college football Saturday, and I'm hearing all the analysis and some of the criticisms of certain teams here and there. And I just kind of thought about it. I'm like, wait a minute. We have kind of been very critical of the Chiefs, and we expect a lot of perfection, me included. When you have Patrick Mahomes, Andy Reid, when you had the season you did in Mahomes' first year, I think that just sets the standard. Now you haven't had a season like 2018. In fact, you have not had the same offensive production like 2018. But what have you had since then? 4 Super Bowl appearances, 3 Super Bowl wins, and a lot of wins to go with all of that. So I think you guys all saw the stat line with Patrick Mahomes in his first 99 games. This is going to be his 100th game, and how he has higher numbers than anyone else that's played in 100 games. This guy's already done things that, like, again, talk about eras and different leagues and all of that all you want, but he has more Super Bowl wins than Peyton Manning. He has he already surpassed not Joe Buck, Troy Aikman, Joe Buck's co-announcer, surpassed Troy Aikman in touchdowns like very, very early in his career. So, you think about those things right there and what Patrick Mahomes has been able to accomplish. And now it's like, okay, you've already surpassed a lot of greats who are in Canton. All there's left to do is just get the record for career totals and more championships. But I think, we kind of forget you're going to get every team's best shot, and it just things get shaky sometimes. And then the opposing teams, they kind of screw up in the last moments too, where Isaiah Likely was not able to stay in bounds. I don't think, in that exact moment he's thinking, oh, the Patrick Mahomes swagger and all that, but it's just, the way things pan out. The Falcons, again, you could have kicked 2 field goals to win. Again, that's much easier to criticize after the fact than in the moment. Actually, what's really interesting is I remember in 2020 when Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs, they went over to Vegas back when there weren't any fans, but it was the first Chiefs game in Allegiant Stadium. And the Chiefs got that game-winning touchdown there, and John Gruden felt like he gave Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs way too much time to be able to work with, to the point where later that year in another game, the Raiders were trying to eat up clock, which they did successfully, but the Dolphins were able to win, and it kind of helped because there was a face mask on Ryan Fitzpatrick, but he was still able to complete a deep pass down the field, and so that helped stop the time, and the Dolphins were able to win the game. And after the game, John Gruden was like, yeah, we played the clock the way we did because I thought of what Patrick Mahomes did to us. So my point in bringing that up is, like, John Gruden admitted it, but not a lot of other coaches will. Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs, they just make you feel a certain way. You always have to strategize differently because of what they do and what they're capable of doing. Look at the Buffalo Bills playoff game a few years ago, where the Chiefs were able to tie the game in 13 seconds and send it into overtime. It's like the Chiefs are doing a lot of, impossible things right now. So, yeah, you want to blame the ref? Okay, yeah, let's blame the ref and not blame the defense for not being able to stop the time with 13 seconds or whatever, and all of these other situations here. By the way, to go back to the ref point one more time, and I don't mean to beat the hell out of that topic, but somebody commented on my social media and said, why is it that the Chiefs always get these calls in their favor? Because they're committing penalties. Do you not watch the games? They're committing penalties. And again, to kind of piggyback what I was saying, I think a lot of times these players they're like, okay, maybe they're putting too much pressure on themselves to the point where they crack and they make a brutal mistake when they shouldn't have, such as James Bradbury holding Juju Smith-Schuster, such as the rookie safety from the Bengals committing that pass interference on Rashee Rice. There are more incidents. I just can't think of them off the top of my head right now, but you just end up seeing a lot of these guys make boneheaded mistakes, and that's not because they're terrible players. It's just in the moment they crack when there's pressure, and they're not able to really recover from that. So That's just the way things work sometimes. In my opinion, Patrick Mahomes is the GOAT. I don't care about the Super Bowl rings. That doesn't make you the GOAT. He has broken so many of Tom Brady's records, and yes, he will catch up with Tom in the rings, no doubt about it, if not pass him. I get what you're saying, Layla. I do disagree about the rings part. Listen, if Dan Marino had Super Bowl rings, plural Super Bowl rings, like 3 or 4 of them, I think he would be heavily in the conversation as one of the best of all time. But unfortunately, he never won the big one. Listen, we love Tony Gonzalez here in Kansas City, but the big knock on him, and not that, a tight end, not to compare the quarterback position to the tight end position. We all know the quarterback position is a whole different animal, but with Tony Gonzalez, he never won a Super Bowl. He only had one postseason win in his entire career. And that came with Atlanta with, a lot of things needing to go right for them in the final stages of that game, if you guys remember. Tony Gonzalez only won one game, a playoff game. Gronk and Kelsey both have multiple Super Bowl rings. I think Gronk has 4 and Kelsey has 3. So it's, I think Super Bowl rings do play a role, especially in the GOAT conversation here. So I do disagree with that part of your statement there. That is the lore. 13 seconds. Teams panic. The Chiefs. Yeah, this is actually a great way of putting it, Raymond. I agree with you. I think again, like this does there's that championship swagger, and I guess I don't want to sit here and say athletes are intimidated, but then again in the moment it's like, okay, you kind of forget what you need to do, what mistakes to not make, and the thing that you are asked to do, you screw it up, and it just gives the Chiefs a new set of downs or whatever it is they need to come through and win at the end of the day. And again, people are like, oh, why do the Chiefs get all the calls? Well, they're not getting the calls. Yeah, sure. Was there a terribly missed call last week? Yeah, of course. Same way how they incorrectly threw that pass interference penalty on Trent McDuffie 2 weeks in a row. And I don't want to hear this bullshit. Oh, it's the time of when penalties happen. What does that mean? What does that mean? Like the last 5 minutes are important, but the first 55 minutes are not. I mean, listen, a penalty is a penalty no matter when it happens. In the first minute, in the last minute, in a regular season week 2 game, or in a Super Bowl, I don't care when it happens. A penalty is a penalty. And are the refs missing penalties out there in every single game? Yes. If you watch all 16 games very closely, and let's just pretend you could pick a rooting interest. So, for example, tomorrow on Monday Night Football or tonight on Sunday night, pick a team that you have a strong rooting interest for. You'll see terribly missed calls or bad calls made in every single game. That's just the way it all goes. People magnify it so much with the Chiefs because everybody's watching the Chiefs, and they're hoping that they lose. So I guarantee you, like, if people stopped paying attention to the Chiefs, which I know is not easy to do because everyone wants to watch the top tier teams, it would not be talked about as much, and you would see, hey, missed calls are happening everywhere. Yeah, he's in a league of his own, 100%. I put a bet that Shamari Connor anytime touchdown. Shamari Connor, let's talk about him, because this guy has taken a big step up. If you guys listen to my interview with Deron Cherry in the offseason, I think it was like early in training camp, I talked to him about this. I was like, dude, Shamari Connor is going to look good this year. He really is. And we're seeing him, the scoop 6 against Burrow, and also the sack in that same game. And then last week against Cousins, getting the interception off the pressure, which I don't want to go back to in a moment there. Shamari Connor has taken a really big step up. And I thought he did a really good job in that role, filling in for Mike Edwards sometimes. Obviously, we saw Brian Cook go down with that injury, so he was out for the season, and Shamari Connor got more playing time. Shamari Connor really did a very good job of filling in when he needed to last year, and he's taken a big leap from his first year to the second year. I know we're talking a lot about Rashee Rice going from that first year to his second year and the big leap he's taking. But man, Connor's done a really good job of that as well. So it's good to see him play the way he has so far. And I do want to go back. I said the pressure. Who got the pressure on that interception right there before halftime? It was Turk Wharton. Because what happened in that game, given the outcome of the game, because the Falcons couldn't kick the field goal, because what happened before halftime? Turk gets the pressure, Connor gets the pick, and the Chiefs end up getting a field goal out of that before halftime. that was a difference maker, because if you don't get that turnover right there, it's going to be a situation where the Falcons could have kicked a field goal to win the game at the end of it. That's just the way, things go. Turk Wharton has quietly had a very good I don't think anyone's talking about it. I see some people out there talking about Leo Chenal, and I'm glad to see him getting a lot of the recognition, but nobody's talking about Turk Wharton. He is having a very criminally underrated season. And I don't think anyone's talking about it. We got to give Turk Wharton a lot of love right now, because that dude right there, he stepped up this year. He really has. And considering the Chargers are banged up and could have 2, maybe 3 backup offensive linemen in this game, what did the Chiefs do last week? They took advantage of all the injuries on Atlanta's offensive line that happened during the game. Well, probably going to happen again too. You're going to see the Chiefs go out there and take advantage of who's absent on that offensive line and go win that football game. Go after Justin Herbert, who is expected to play. And if it's not going to be him, it's going to be Taylor Heineke. So one of those 2 guys, they are going to be expected to play. And I'm just excited to see this defense again. Holly says, I'm loving Creed's t-shirt trend. Yeah, that's a very interesting trend he's got going on here. I'm curious to see. I'm curious to see when he started that trend. When it's Pacheco, 2 months. So late November, early December. That is the projected timeline. Defenses still treat Travis Kelce with plenty of respect. Yeah. And I think you're supposed to. You're absolutely supposed to. So, if you're going to give all that respect to Travis Kelce, fine. Let's go get the ball to Rashee Rice. See, that would be my thing. If Travis Kelce was getting heavily covered and the Chiefs were not finding another open guy, I'd be really frustrated and saying, well, hold up. What's going on with this offense? But no, you're able to still find a way to move the football. And that guy is because of Rashee Rice. That reason is because of Rashee Rice. 3 games, 3 forced QB fumbles for our defense. It's super impressive. It's a really good call, Kevin. Yeah, you had the forced fumble by Chris Jones in week 1, and then last week, I can't remember who popped the football out, but it was picked up by Connor. And then last week, Felix Anudike-Uzomah, who is expected to play a lot in this game because of Mike Dana's absence, he got that forced fumble on Kirk Cousins. Now, the Chiefs did not pick up the fumble from there, but what that ended up doing was, because of the penalty too, following that, remember, they kicked the ball out of bounds or whatever, and that ended up being a big penalty on top of that. So the Chiefs, they've done a really good job of going after the quarterback. So yeah, that's a really good call for sure, Kevin. Yeah. So who forced that fumble against the Bengals? Let me see if I can pull that up real quickly. I mean, we all know who scooped up the ball and scored. It was Connor, but who forced that fumble? Yeah, I don't think it really shows, because it kind of just looked like it came out when nobody expected it. Let me see if I can pull that up one more time. That's the wrong fumble. Where is it? Okay, there it is. Burrow sacked at the Cincinnati 34 for 0 yards, split by Treshaun Wharton and Mike Dan. Okay, well, there's Turk again. Fumbles. So it credits both Wharton and Dana. Recovered by Connor for at the Cincinnati 38 for a 30-yard touchdown. Okay. So, yeah, there's the answer to that there. Goes to my point about Turk Wharton. Dude is having a really good season for the Chiefs. I think if Pat stops throwing interceptions, games wouldn't be close. That's a really good point. Jacene, I hope I said your name right, or Jackson. He's made some really terrible decisions with the football this year. Some like really, really, really bad decisions. And again, you're seeing it on like one-play drives too. So hopefully he can be better about that in this game. Yeah, I think some people are thinking, the Chiefs are going to... You guys hear that sound? I know what's causing that. I just need to... hold on. It's just not easy to fix this exact second. So I'll figure that out later. But for now, let me see if I can just there. There's a temporary fix. You guys can't see what is in front of me. If you guys did, hold on. Let me just do this. Hold on. Try not to show too much. But yeah, this is my setup right here. See all those cables and all that shit? That is and then that little cable right there. That's what's causing that weird sound. But yeah, okay. For those of you who were wondering, because I saw a couple of people wondering what the noise was. But yeah, Logan, I think that's just the way the Chiefs were kind of last year. Is people thought that that was who they were, but no, they stepped up and eventually played much better football as the season went on. Late in the season in the playoffs, we saw much different Chiefs offense. You still saw a lot of the same issues with drops and fumbles, but they got much better about moving the football as the season went on. I would like to see us start out better on defense, though. We always start slow in the first quarter. Yeah, you're kind of seeing that when the Falcons just marched down the field on the Chiefs. I was like, boy, is this going to be a long game for our defense? Because that looked like, I mean, the Falcons made that look easy. But again, what have I said so many times? Andy Reid and Spags, they are the best when it comes to making halftime adjustments. And they made adjustments way before that because the Falcons scored a touchdown on the opening drive. They only scored one more touchdown the rest of the game. They only scored 3 points in the second half. So again, you want to blame the officials? Maybe blame the guys who are not playing well and not playing consistently. Has McDuffie or passed Gardner as best cornerback in the league yet? I think McDuffie is a great cover corner. Now, statistically, we're not seeing McDuffie do much. And I'm obviously referring to the interception. I mean, he has a lot of forced fumbles, but we haven't seen McDuffie. Once McDuffie starts getting interceptions, and that's got to start happening at some point, I think then you're going to see, you're starting to see a different side of McDuffie. And I think people are going to tab him as maybe the best cornerback in the NFL. And listen, part of the whole thing with interceptions is you can only get interceptions if the ball is being thrown at or near your direction. And McDuffie does not have that happen often. So if you can't get the interceptions, then just completely lock down the guy. And that's what he's been doing 99% of the time. So I don't know if I'd call him the best yet. But man, I mean, he's top 5, 100%. He's got to be. He's playing very similar to Sean Smith. You guys remember Sean Smith, who was a much taller cornerback for the Chiefs? I'm referring to the cornerback, not the nose tackle. But Sean Smith, he wasn't a guy who thrived statistically either. I mean, he had a couple interceptions here and there, but he was just mostly a great lockdown corner. I think he's very similar to Trent McDuffie. It's just, Smith was part of a team that wasn't it was not a championship caliber team back then compared to what the Chiefs are now. Chris Jones needs to put in more work. I mean, listen, he's been going out there getting pressure. Again, statistically, is he thriving? No, but he's going out there doing a lot of big things for the Chiefs defense. We need Kelsey to have a stellar game. Yeah, and I think he's got to get going at some point. So I would expect him to start playing well soon. Because listen, Andy Reid and the Chiefs are going to figure it out 100%. I guarantee you, this week of all weeks, that is when Andy Reid and Matt Nagy went to the drawing board and said, look, here's why they're covering Kelsey. Here's what we can do to prevent that from happening and let him get open in space and also get Xavier Worthy more involved. Listen, if Kelsey continues to get covered really well on these double teams, you got to get Xavier Worthy more involved. I mean, it's nice to see Rice do his thing. Don't get me wrong. I'm not knocking on that at all. But, and again, Worthy's a rookie. He's only played 3 games. I think, you'd like to see a little bit more out of him. And I think I'm saying this too now because Hollywood Brown's not playing. So I think Worthy was expected to be the slot wide receiver. But you're seeing him play a lot more now because of the Hollywood injury. So let's get him more involved. I think, Juju, First couple of games, he was very quiet, got a little bit more involved in this game. Obviously, had that touchdown against the Falcons, had a couple of catches in last week's game. Does Juju get more involved with the Chiefs? I mean, he had a really bad run in a very short run in New England. Is a change of scenery back to where he once won a Super Bowl? Is that really going to help him and start getting more involved with the offense? I don't know. I hope so. I mean, there's a reason why the Chiefs are bringing these guys back. Guys like Juju, guys like Kareem Hunt. I know the Kareem Hunt thing, obviously kind of unfortunate, but you have the injuries with Hollywood Brown and Isaiah Pacheco right now. So who do you go to? Well, why not get guys who are familiar with the system? Both Kareem Hunt and Juju Smith-Schuster are. Oddly enough, they've never played together. And Kareem Hunt, he went up against Juju in the AFC North. So, yeah. They've definitely been familiar with each other a little bit from a distance, but now they're together and they get to work together in this offense. I think Juju is the guy who's going to start playing more, so that'll be interesting to see. Okay, all right. I think we've covered a lot of things here. I'm going to leave you guys with that. I'm out of here. Appreciate you guys joining me. Make sure you guys come back at halftime. We will do our halftime live stream. We're going to do it on Facebook, on YouTube, and on Instagram. So if you guys haven't, make sure you're following me on one. If not all of them, why not? Would greatly appreciate that. And then come back after the game. We will be doing the Chiefs Zone podcast live after the game goes final. We will recap the game between the Chiefs and Chargers. So make sure you guys join us for that. Phone calls will be available. So you guys can click on the link, call into the show. Let me know your thoughts on what happens after the game. All right. I'm out, guys. Talk to you later. Peace out.